Hey there, whiskey fans. Welcome back to Whiskey Minute with the Highlander. We're here for part 2 of the Iron Wolf Ranch Distillery Tour. And we've got these really pretty tubs. Can you tell us a wee bit about the purpose and how they fit into the process here?
Absolutely. So we're standing here in what we call the fermentation room.
Right.
This is where the fermentation happens, and that's what these are. These are big fermenter tanks. So after the mash cook, the grains and the water all broken down into simple sugars. We need to create the alcohol, of course, by adding the yeast. Yeast eats the simple sugars from the grain and the carbohydrate in the grain to create the alcohol. And that happens during the fermentation process, and that's what each of these tanks. So each of these tanks take one of the 5,000 liter batches that we run, and the yeast eats the sugars, creates the alcohol, also a lot of heat generated during fermentation, and that's what these jackets are. So if you look at these kind of funny, people always ask about the dimples and about these. We have jacketed tanks, and we have a separate glycol cooling process. So almost like a brewery.
Yeah.
In the old days, the heat would generate, and the yeast eats the sugars, creates all that heat, and it'll actually heat up to the point where it'll kill itself off and stop the process. And we don't want that, right?
Absolutely.
We want to get every bit of alcohol we can. So you need to manage that heat. In the old days, they'd take big chunks of ice and throw them into an open tub.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We run cooling jackets. So the glycol cooling system goes through the jackets. The dimples help with the conductive cooling,
Right.
So it's a more efficient cooling. We really get a lot there. Also helps with breaking up the laminar flow. And that's how we manage the heat generated during the fermentation process.
And what's the capacity of each tank?
Each will hold a working volume of 5,000 liters.
So
And
we've
then a
got
little bit of headroom.
25,000 liters right here.
Yeah, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
That's amazing.
Good math.
And I just love, we're so close to Horseshoe Bay. Your first setup with the stills and the columns was in the shape of a horseshoe.
Yeah.
And then we pop in here, we've got another horseshoe.
It's the same thing, right?
This is bloody amazing.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much for part 2, folks.
You
Don't
bet.
forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Come back and join us next time for part 3. Until then, signing off with a Slungiva.